Okay guys, back up at Cycle House again today.
As you can see here,
We got the cylinder head with us. We're going to take it inside. See what Jerry had to say. I bet he liked to see it. He likes to see things like this too. He likes horsepower just like me. Got red, old, white, and blue flying proud. Good to go. Okay guys, got her in the wash tank here. Giving her a little scrub down. Getting it washed up before we give it a little cleaning. Got to get the oil and the old goo off it. Make sure it's nice and clean before we put it in the blast tank. Blast tank doesn't want the old oil and goo or anything dirty. We don't want to mix that in with the blasting agent. That's got to stay nice and clean. Back up at Cycle House. Came up to pick up the head. Steve did some washing back there in the tank with it. He's still back there working. Look at this thing, guys. Oh my goodness. Took a dip in the hot tank. Took a little swim. He also gave it a little blast and a little vapor hone. This sumbitch is looking like brand new times 10. These ports are looking amazing. Looking so good. Flip it over here. Look at these intake ports, guys. Woo-wee. This thing is going to work good. Thanks, Cycle House. Give you guys a little peek here. This is Cycle House. You guys have seen in the past, this is the dyno we use on my videos. Unfortunately, Jerry's not here today. Can't have a little chat with him, but we will see him here soon. There's always some goodies back here. Always something fun to play with. Always something fun to work on. Do some good old machining and blasting back here. This is where the wash and the vapor blast happens. Oldie over there. If you guys need anything done, this is the place to call. They're more than happy to take care of whatever you need. Jerry is one to talk to. He definitely knows quite a bit about everything on two wheels. And if you really want to know something about some Ducatis, Jerry is definitely the man to talk to about a Ducati. Just about everything you'd ever want to know. And a Honda too. Some beautiful Hondas. Really about as pretty as it gets. There you go, guys. About the most beautiful CL91 has ever seen. I'd love to have that thing. Alrighty, we're good to go. Thanks, Steve. Back home from Cycle House. Man, getting a good look at this cylinder head now. The porting, the sandblasting, the porting. We start that over. My cleanup, my rough port, my smooth port, my hot tub bath at Cycle House, the sandblast at Cycle House to clean up the outside, the vapor hone to clean up the ports and to clean up what was left of the outside. Luckily, Steve came through today, hooked it up. Jerry wasn't there. He's doing some other stuff, but man, way to go, guys. This thing is looking phenomenal now. Look at these ports just looking so good. Looking so big, too. My port really opened them up there. And just now that everything's all honed and cleaned, we can see nice little ripple on the intake ports there, so everything stays moving. Don't want any fuel to lay in there and get evaporated on the cylinder or on the port walls. Looking phenomenal over here, guys. Let me flip it over here. We can get a look here on the exhaust side. If you see, I just use a screwdriver to hold it up. Holds it up at a good angle. Works real good. Oh, look at these exhaust ports. Man, they are just wide open now. They're going to make that turbo sing a happy song. Happy song singing boost. Woohoo! Yeah, look at these ports, guys. Still a little more polishing in there just to get things cleaned up totally. But man, they are looking just wide open big. So good. Mr. Honda would be proud. Thank you, Soichiro. You gave us some good stuff to work with. Thank you for everything, bro. Couldn't ask for more. Especially from 1978, guys. None of this is new. It's used and totally proven. Not a doubt about that. I think every form of 750 has been built and tried. We're on to something here, guys. Yeah, look at this. Okay. Now all we got to do up here, let me take this out and show you guys. Up here on top, everything's all cleaned up. Still got our valve guides in there. They're totally looking good. I'm just going to get the tops here cleaned up. I like to put a little chamfer on them just so the oil does flow down into the valve stem real good. As you see, they're just rough from the factory. That's the one thing I haven't done yet, is put a little slight chamfer on those, which I'm going to do. But what you see I did do down here, I put a chamfer on the oil drains. All the oil drains in the cylinder head, they all have little ripples on them from the factory. I like to knock those down, put a little chamfer on them, really get the oil flowing in there good, all of them. One for each valve. All those will flow oil back to the sump good now, because with the dry sump, if the oil doesn't get back real quick, we're going to have problems. That oil needs to be back in the dry sump so the oil pump can pick it up, send it back through, keep the oil pressure happy, and keep oil going to that turbo. The turbo is not the most important part, but it needs oil pressure too. Not as much oil pressure as the engine. The engine will get about 70 pounds, 60 to 70 pounds with the blow-off spring down low in the oil pump. It regulates it to about 65 pounds of pressure with 1040. If you go with a higher viscosity, you get a bit more, but that's only for crazy boost. And when we're really pushing it, we may put 2050 in, 2040. We'll see. Right now, 1040 should be fine. But up here, long as everything stays lubed up with the valve train, once again, right here, these are the restrictor ports. As you see, the restrictors are taken out. They're back here in the parts pan. But essentially, the restrictor is a little jet, and that jet restricts the flow up here to the cams, because the top end does not like to have the oil pressure that the bottom end gets. The turbo is much the same. The turbo really only needs about 20 pounds of pressure. In my line, my oil pressure line that goes to the turbo, there's little restrictor jets in there. They restrict down quite a bit and only let a little bit spray through just to keep the turbo happy. You don't need 70 pounds of pressure at your turbo. Some of the new ball bearing ones, they can take a bit more, but the older journal bearing style turbos like this has a journal bearing. It only just needs a little spray of oil. Everything will stay happy in there as long as it has a little bit of oil to float on. 20 psi, let it drain out real quick, it's good to go. Same thing with the top end. Needs a little bit of oil pressure. Get these to drain out real quick so the oil doesn't hang out by these valves and cause any loss in friction, because if there's too much oil, it causes a loss, and things don't like to spin up and move real good, just like the turbo. Too much oil causes it to hesitate, and actually you don't want that. You see, that's the drain. The feed is up over here. That's the feed there. I have a restrictor that will go in here that will restrict the oil pressure to the turbo. These old CBs, they like to make a lot of oil pressure. They actually have two oil pumps in the bottom. One for the pump for the engine and one for scavenging to send the oil back up to the oil tank. Essentially, it's a dry sump. They don't like to have a lot of oil in the bottom. The oil that's in the engine, it's moving the whole time. It's going somewhere up and around or back to the tank. That's the way they work the best. So if you just restrict a little bit to what you want to control, that works out fine. Works out real good, actually. That's all stuff Honda figured out. That's not stuff I figured out. Don't blame me. It's all good, guys. All right, looking good here, guys. So really just waiting to get some seals up here. New valve seals. As soon as those come in, I've got some coming from Kibblewhite, along with the new valves. The new valves are going to be really strong race valves. They will be the stock size, but they will be lapped in. They'll be lapped into these ports, so everything gets lapped in and fitting totally perfectly and flush. So the Kibblewhites will get lapped into these factory seats. Everything will be good to go there. As you can see, the guides, they're looking just beautiful. All the guides are in perfect shape. Good old Honda style. No funny business ever there. So we're good to go there. So once we get everything fit up here, new valves, new seals on the up here on the valve stems so we don't leak oil down the valve stems. And we'll probably go back with the, I'm not sure yet, we may use the stock springs, but I may go up to a higher pressure spring. I don't really plan on turning a whole lot of RPM with this one, but 9,000 would be good. 9,500 might not be so bad. The boost is going to be wicked at that point, so it may not need RPM. Boost makes horsepower. You don't need RPM. So, see if I can get a good deal on them, because right now, money's a bit tight on this project. Parts are coming in thin because I don't have a whole lot of extra money to spend on them. I've now got a PayPal going, guys. It's purely for donations. If anybody wants to help this build, see it through, I'm going to make all this happen. The bike's already done. Once this engine build's done, it's going in the bike and we're going to take off like a rocket ship. It's going to be amazing. The guys from Cycle House are down. They're helping out too. Man, couldn't do it without all you guys and Cycle House and everybody else that's ever helped me to get here in the past. Man, so good, guys. So, there'll be a link at the end for my PayPal. If you want help and donate, I thank you so much, guys. So much has already been done. This is going to be an awesome build here, guys. I don't even really want to predict horsepower, but it's going to be up there. I promise. And a lot of what I'm doing comes from Jerry's knowledge too at Cycle House. As you see, he's done some work with some Ducatis. He is one who taught me how to port cylinder heads. He used to work professionally porting Ducati cylinder heads for the Ducati race team. Not sure if you guys know what that means, but whoa, that's some big time stuff. Jerry knows what he's talking about. All his hints and knowledge are what's right here, along with everything that I've ever done with some turbochargers. Us together, we work out to a great team. As you see, the vapor honing is just as good as it gets. If you guys ever need anything cleaned up or vapor honed, give Jerry and Steve a call. They're more than happy to help you guys out with whatever you need. It's time to go fast, guys. Like, share, and subscribe. Way more to come, I promise. As usual. Thanks.